Welcome to Sourcing 101. In this little mini course, I'm going to show you how exactly to find products to resell on Amazon. I'm going to be telling you my thought processes, how exactly I got the ball rolling with selling stuff, and you can do very much the same. So do this along with me. We'll make a start right now. So how exactly do we start the whole sourcing process? So once we've set up Amazon Seller Central, what do we do? Now, before you go rushing off to the store, whether that is online or in person or whatever, thinking, okay, I'll just buy whatever is cheap and resells for a higher price. It's not as simple as that. There's a few more things that we need to do. So firstly, we need to make sure that we are ungated. And the way to do this would be to go onto Amazon, add product, find the product that you want to sell, just type in whatever it is, and then you need to select your condition, and I'm going to assume that it's going to be new, and then apply to sell, okay? And then that will bring you to a page like this one where you can request approval. Now, when we press this button, a couple of things could happen. So we could get automatically ungated without having to do anything more, and it's always worth pressing request approval just in case that works. That's happened to me a few times where I didn't expect it. So here you have your selling application for a brand. This is the most common thing that you'll come across as you're getting started. You need to submit documents and invoice. And this is what a lot of them look like. So it'll be, it's got to be recent. It's got to be in the last 180 days. Include your name and address, matching the information in your selling account, include the name and address of the manufacturer or distributor, show the combined price of at least 10 units. And it's important on your invoice as well that the wholesaler doesn't condense down the actual quantity of products down to like just the case. So say, for example, there's 10 in a case. They might count that as one on the invoice, but it needs to not be that way. It needs to be how much of that product you've actually bought. And then there are some optional bits as well. You just need to make sure that you tick off these things. You might think that they're actually just like a square bullet point, but you actually have to tick them. You submit your invoice there. It's got to be in a non-editable format, so like PDF is perfect. Email address for questions is just the same one that you use for Amazon. You don't have to do phone if you don't want to. So anything that isn't optional, make sure that the invoice includes that, and have your invoice, have your PDF invoice there, and boom, you submit that to Amazon. You can monitor that on your Seller Central, and they should ungate you within the time frame of 72 hours. A lot of my ungating has happened in under that time. So once you're ungated, you're all good to sell, kind of. We would then move on to things like checking IP and how much profit it makes the sellers per month on Amazon, all that stuff, the competition, sales charts. There's stuff to analyze once you found stuff that you want to sell, but you can check that out in my Deal Analysis 101 mini course, which is on the BuyBot Pro YouTube channel. So we need to make sure that we're doing those things before we actually buy the stuff to resell. Okay? Get yourself ungated. Analyze anything that you think would be worth selling on Amazon. But let's just talk about finding stuff in the first instance. So now that we're past these bits, so for getting ungated, I would say your first purchases, and the way I did it was I did it from wholesalers first. Now you don't have to do that, but you do need to ensure that you're getting invoices. So if you're buying from a retailer from the get-go, my advice to you, and I strongly urge you to do this, ask them if they can produce an invoice for you before you buy anything from them. Get in touch with customer service. If you're visiting in person, go to a customer help desk, talk to a manager, just make sure that they can do that for you. And, you know, specifying certain bits as well before they actually do the invoice would be helpful as well. Like, you know, it needs to have like the quantity on there. It's got to have the addresses and whatnot, you know? So make sure that you are talking to the retailers before that, and make sure that you're definitely following up with them when you've purchased stuff. Otherwise, it's just going to be a waste. Amazon are not going to accept anything if you haven't got an invoice, okay? After you're ungated, you know, you can relax a little bit. I would still treat it as best practice to get an invoice as many times as you can. But once you're ungated, you know, you can relax a little bit more. It's just for the ungating where you definitely need an invoice. So I would say to do it through a wholesaler, because the way of dealing with things is invoices. Okay, so the store's default way of giving you proof of purchase is a receipt. A wholesaler, it's an invoice. So you're better off doing a wholesaler, in my opinion, first. There's plenty out there that you can just access without having to jump through like a load of hoops, and yeah, just buy anything that you think would work out in terms of how cheap it is versus how much it is on Amazon, but obviously not without doing the deal analysis process first. Again, please look at deal analysis stuff if you aren't sure. We're just going to be focusing on sourcing. So if we take a look at deals in here, this is another reason why I'd recommend wholesalers. If you can buy from them, if it's feasible to do so, do it, because they've got great deals and you can get good quantities as well for said amount. Here you've got things that are marked down, so when you are doing your analysis, it needs to be this individual unit price rather than the pack price. Okay, well, I say this price here, you need to make sure that you're adding VAT on top of that. So this will be the price inclusive of VAT that we need to account for as our actual buy price. Okay, that's the one we need to put into the buy price on our calculator. So we need to be looking at unit price inclusive of VAT as opposed to pack price. Okay, so have a look at like deals pages, have a look at what's hot, because if something is hot here, it stands a better chance of being quite a good seller on Amazon. You can also look at things that are coming soon, so you can get your foot in the door maybe for things that are going to do really well. Of course, with that, there's not going to be much history to go off of when you're judging sales and so forth. So you do have to be very careful with something like that, but that gives you an idea of what's coming out. And, you know, once you get used to sourcing, analysis, looking at things with a reselling perspective, you can get to know pretty quickly what's most likely, you know, what's going to do well. I mean, this, for example, Monopoly. Monopoly is a very popular board game. There's K-pop Demon Hunters, really popular on Netflix, and a bunch of their songs ended up in the in like the top 40 charts and things like that. So chances are this one's probably going to do quite well. You know, you just sort of pick up these things as you go along. So I'd recommend wholesalers. I mean, if you're looking at retail stores, again, always look at where there's deals. If you can get like a membership card with them as well, that always pays off because you're paying less, because you are a member with them. So, for example, if I have a Tesco Club card, I can take advantage of things like this, where it is cheaper. So instead of being $49.99, it's $41.99. They have a sale on here. They have an offer on until the start of March at this point. So it was 19, now it's 15. That's really helpful. It's things like that. Sales, deals, offers, membership prices. Those things are perfect. But that doesn't mean you won't find any deals with the ordinary prices that are on the retail sites. It's always worth a look. Okay? So hopefully that's helped you with getting the ball rolling with starting your sourcing.